That's a fact of life. You're all going to miss out on something. We all do. You turn right, you're going to miss out on turning left. You go up, you're going to miss out on going down. Guess what? All those people going down, they're missing out on what you're doing, but you're also missing out on the crazy experience of going down. We're all missing out. Same with committing. You can't not commit. Right? People are like, oh, I'm kind of waiting to be sure if I should commit to my success. Well, then you're committing to non-success. If you don't commit to something, you're committing to nothing, but you're committing either way. Same with habits. Right? I don't want to be too in control of my habits. I'm just kind of going with the flow. Okay, well then you're letting your unconscious do your habits for you. Habits are going to be there anyway. We all have them. 90% of your thoughts today are the same thoughts you had yesterday and the day before. You know, we were talking about putting yourself out there with charisma and really tapping into your authenticity. That will quickly filter through people you're meant to be with and connect with and people you aren't. Right? If I'm just being me at the core, you'll either love me or hate me. You won't like me. You'll love me or hate me. I have a very poignant taste. Right? You'll be like, oh, this guy's awesome, or screw this guy. And you'll know pretty fast. Maybe some of you even here, you're sitting here like, oh God, we're still stuck, fuck this guy. It could be. But hey, you know what that does for me? Is it establishes very fast the people I'm meant to connect with. I would much rather, and you should too, by the way, if you meet someone new, I would much rather know right off the bat that we don't have a connection. Not having chemistry with someone is very natural. You're not meant, again, that's another lie. You're meant to get along with everyone. It's like, no. Some people you're not meant to get along with, and it doesn't mean that you're bad, it doesn't mean that they're bad. If all of you here, say you had to spend 5 minutes talking to, like say, every single one, imagine you had to spend 5 minutes talking to everyone here, one by one. There's gonna be some people you like more than others. Some people you just click with faster. That's called natural chemistry. That's very real. Be you, put it out there, sort through it fast, versus putting on this little front. What people do is they hide behind the front, another person hides behind the front, they start talking, and then they let a little bit of realness out, or they never do. The less real you are, by the way, a good audit is how lonely do you feel? How disconnected do you feel? We always think loneliness means being alone in the physical world. No. You could be surrounded with tons of people. You could have tons of friends. You could have millions of followers on social media, yet it always feels like there's this invisible wall between you and others. That's terrible. None of you were born all stifled. None of you came out of your mother's like that never happened, right? You'll see if you, or if you have a kid, or when you have a kid, if you want a kid. We always think, it's like the parent teaching the kid, which is true, but a kid will remind you so much of what you lost, including myself, by the way. I went into parenthood being like, I've done all these years of work on myself, taught so many people. Right in the park. No. And even for myself, I was like, I'm pretty unstifled and pretty charismatic. My daughter's a million times more charismatic than me. And it reminds you, you're just like, oh, what happened? You just see the whole process of socialization, really, the whole conditioning and really what it does to people. It is insane. And then what you realize, seeing that too, is that, the goal that I'm after, in terms of social skills, in terms of being unstifled, in terms of even being happy, isn't about learning more. It's not the what now, it's about unlearning, deconditioning, removing all that negative programming that keeps you stuck. That's the real work. It's retuning into what you lost. This is why you hear me talk so much about letting go. People are like, well, how do you succeed with letting go? You let go what's blocking you.
Now you're probably thinking, how do I let go? This sounds great and all, but how do I do it? And I know it's not as easy as it sounds. It actually took me many years and some crazy traumatic experiences to figure it out for myself. But I've broken that all down into a very clear step-by-step system, which I've been teaching my clients now for years. Click the link below this video and apply for my private coaching program where I'll teach you all of this and more. You'll learn the subtleties, the nuances, and the traps, and you will finally know how to let go.
This is another key distinction to ask yourself. Is your emotional response realistic? Is it real or not? Is it appropriate or not? Because there are such things as real emotions, but then there's triggered emotions, fake emotions. Okay? So a good audit to see if it's real or triggered is it appropriate? Meaning, coming up here in front of people, if you feel like super, super scared, that's disproportionate. A lot of people would feel like they die just public speaking. Is your life at risk? No. So it's not appropriate to reality. That's not a real emotion, right? I always say too, with breakups, people like are sad about breakups for years and years and years, decades even. Sometimes people even remarry and you'll still see they're hurt and like, oh, the first one. That's not appropriate to reality. That's when you get triggered, right? So that's something you want to let go of. That comes down to letting go. That's how you solve it. You don't fight that. You don't try to reframe that, because that just gives more power to it. You let go of it. And there is such a reality where, guess what? Social anxiety is gone. Now people are like, is it gone 100%? No, the realistic amount is there and you want that to be there. Guess what? People are like, you let go of fear. Does that mean you have no more fear? You don't want no more fear. What if someone pulls out a gun? You want to experience fear, no? You don't be like, oh, I let go. No. That's good. Same with anger. You want to experience anger. No? Otherwise, how would you know that a boundary's been crossed? What if someone walks up to you in the street and spits on you? Are you going to get mad? Are you going to be angry? Yeah. I hope so. We're just like, more, please. Like, no, I hope so. Yeah, it's like, just in my mouth this time. No, you should get mad. That's like your emotional guidance system saying, something is wrong. Same with guilt. You should experience guilt. That's a sign saying, you acted outside of integrity. All those things are good. However, if you think of it, say, as like a blinking light, you could compare it to even like a car. If a car comes in front, it's like there's a red light. It's good when it activates at the right time. So say you experience fear. If someone pulls out a gun, it's good that you experience fear. It activates at the right time. Same with anger. Someone spits, you're like, what? Good. But for most of us, it's just always on. They live in this state of fear. They're always angry. Any little thing triggers them. That's what you want to let go of. Same with social anxiety. You're just always anxious or in the wrong situations. You don't want the social anxiety light to be blinking when there's no reason for it to blink. And if you can't find the reason externally, it's something within you. It is something to let go of. And then you can go even deeper too, right? Some key things to be aware of is 1, letting go, which we talked about. 2, conscious and subconscious. Realize that there are 2 worlds inside of you. What you're aware of, what you're not aware of. Right? If I ask you right now, what did you eat for breakfast? Fries and mayonnaise?
No, just look like it.
Okay.
Bread.
Bread.
Yes.
Seemed like you made that up. What did you really eat?
Yeah, I made it up.
What did you eat? What did you eat for real? Own it.
I have to think. What do I eat? Actually, fries.
Fries?
Yeah, actually I did.
Yes! Good. Okay. That's my vision of Dutch people. It's French fries, mayonnaise, and stinky feet. Now, it would get a laugh if you weren't Dutch. I'm just fucking with you. But I could see it. You're just like, what's an appropriate answer? What's the most PC answer?
Yes.
Bread. No one will disagree with bread. But say that. So say you had to think what happened. You know that. You know what you ate, but it took a moment to bring it up into your awareness. Where was that information before? In your subconscious. We all have this. It's great. If you had to be aware of everything that happened to you all the time, your head would explode. However, that's also where we bury things that aren't necessarily pleasant. Things that run us. There's a famous saying, there's what you know, right? Conscious. There's what you know you don't know, conscious. There's what you know there's what you don't know you don't know. That's the gold. That's what you have to start letting go of. It's this deep dive. And then within that, you'll see there's different pockets, different levels. Your journey on the inner work side of things will go through different phases, from apathy to grief to fear to anger to courage to desire to purpose to love. There's this whole process that you walk, but once you start doing this more inner work side of things, everything falls into place. When it comes to communication skills, when it comes to social skills, 80% of it is letting go. If you've ever seen what we call a social natural, You know what that is? Someone who, we all have a friend like that. You all have someone where they're just always at ease socially. They were just always like that. Even in school, you go out, you go to a restaurant, you go to a bar, anything. It's like they're just really loud, comfortable. They're always the center of attention, life of the party. People want to talk to them. People want to sit next to them. If it's a big dinner, it's like, oh, I want to sit next to that person because they're the fun one. We all have those. People are just had a really nice social upbringing. Well, guess what? You want to get to that level, that's letting go. If you let go of all the bad stuff that happened to you, you become a social natural. That's 80% of it, getting out of your own way. You stop getting stifled. And then what you'll see is when it comes to social skills, suddenly you don't need all the little tips and tricks to not be stifled, because you simply aren't. You don't need the little tips and tricks to not be anxious, because you simply aren't anxious. Things like discipline and work ethic, it's not good. Why do you need that? Right? What does it imply? That a part of you is pulling you towards failure, that you need to discipline. Same with self-love, practicing self-love. Oh, I need to do my self-love routine. Why? Because what does it imply? You hate yourself. Only someone who hates themselves needs to do self-love stuff to fight it. Now, does it mean that you should never do that? No, it's better than just doing nothing and hating yourself. No, by all means, it has its place. Same with hustle and discipline. It's better than being lazy and doing nothing, but realize it's a stepping stone, it's not the destination. Because, again, you could think of it as there's this energy in you pulling you towards failure. And what is discipline? You're taking a whip and you're like, whoosh, we're going this way. Whoosh, let's go. You're disciplining a part of you. You're being cruel to a part of you. Versus letting go of that. And instead of work ethic, you have this work magnet and you're pulled towards success. Same with self-love. What is true self-love? How do you do it? You let go of self-hate. Let go of self-hate, self-love's there. It should just be who you are, not something you have to do. Otherwise, it's saying the default is self-hate. And I have to do the self-love to soothe the self-hate. So everything changes. When will I make it? Or when will I let go completely? When you stop asking the question. Because what motivates the question? Self-hate. I hate where I'm at. When will I reach the finish point? The more you start letting go, the more you feel at home within yourself. The more you feel like you belong within. The happier you are right here, right now. And if you're happy right here, right now, you no longer start asking yourself, hey, when will I be happier? You're like, oh, I'm happy. You're just enjoying it. So the question naturally ceases to pop in. And then the place it really starts shifting to for the most part. And again, I'm not saying I'm like that all the time, by the way. But it is more of my foundation. And that's why I'm saying don't aim to let go of everything, but make sure that, and same with self-love. That doesn't mean like I have zero self-attack thoughts. Of course not. I'm human. I'm on my journey too. But it's not the default. That's the thing. For most people, the default is self-hate, and they'll have a little glimpse of self-love. By letting go, you shift it to where this is now the default. Self-love is the default, and you'll have the exceptional glimpse of self-hate. And what is every day? It's a day where, you know what? I feel great being me right now. I wonder how things could get better, and every day you're surprised by how they get better and better and better. There's a quote from Michael Brown that goes, it's a state of continued ripening. So you know how a fruit gets riper and riper and riper, and then it gets so ripe it gets rotten? Yes? No? Anyone eat fruits? Yeah. Okay. Good. Or like how a French fry will not. So imagine a fruit where it just gets ripe and it keeps getting riper and riper, never getting rotten. That's the state. You're just like, yes, I think I'm at the top. And the next day you're like, there's more, riper, riper. And that's like your life. But then overall, you'll see the big shifts as you stop getting triggered. Or you get triggered a lot less. You feel more at ease. There's less of a need to like prove yourself. Right? Like, yeah, I remember even old seminars that come up on stage and it would be like me versus the audience. Gotta dominate versus I'm just going to be me and just unleash it. You're also more okay with, what is authentic to you, your authentic goals, versus just doing goals that you think would get you approval, which is most people. Right? Most people are looking at others. What are they doing? What do they want? What's acceptable? What isn't? What's at the peak of society versus what do I want? And staying true to that. So, and just overall in terms of an inner feeling, it's a really good feeling of just like feeling grounded and relaxed within, which is ultimately what we're after. Say you take someone who hates the way they look. Most common advice is get some plastic surgery. And people think, like, it's funny, I'll see YouTube comments like, they just have to change, lose some weight, do this. It's like, as if that'll change how you feel about yourself. If your self-concept is I'm ugly, do the plastic surgery, you're still gonna find a way to feel ugly. Then the deeper layer is, well, then do a healthy diet. They do that, if your self-concept is still I'm ugly, you'll find a way. If you hate yourself and you change some habits, self-hate's still gonna be there. There's two games that people play. Sadly, most people do an outward in game, thinking that this is at the cause, internally is at the effect. The more I change out here, the more it changes in here. But in reality, it's this is at the cause. The more you change in here, the more it changes out there. So the more you start letting go, you could literally take someone who loves themselves, put them in the shittiest external situation, they'll still love themselves. Even going deeper on emotional addictions. If you take your day-to-day life, we talked about thoughts, right? 90% of your thoughts here today are the same thoughts you had yesterday. Well, feelings too. Your typical day-to-day life, you feel the same things. Most likely around the same times. That's an emotional addiction. Even on a more macro level, if right now you're telling yourself the present moment is not enough, someday, then you're addicting yourself to lack. You're addicting yourself to not feeling good enough. And no matter what happens externally, even if there's a reason, if this happens, then I'll feel good enough. Even if that were to happen, just like a junkie, you will find your way back to not feeling good enough. You are a junkie to what you feel on a daily basis. You are a junkie to what you think on a daily basis. You think the external would fix it? I wish it would. I wish it was that easy. No. It's inward, out. It's not as appealing. It's not as flashy. It's not as catchy, which is why people tend to not gravitate there first. Usually for someone to get to inner work, they tried some of the outer work first and they realized it didn't work. And eventually you're like, okay, your ego takes the hit and there's the willingness and openness to dive deep. Because here's the other thing, diving deep is scary. That's the real work. If you look at all the outer things you've done, it's always running away from that. We talked about those two worlds within. Think of that little darkness within. You all have it. That little voice that even seeps in when you sit at home alone with yourself. That little voice that isn't the friendliest. That little voice just criticizing everything about you, your life. Like, look at you. Is this what you thought your life would become? What you would accomplish? Why are things so hard for you? Reminding you of all the mistakes you made. The wasted time, the wasted potential. It's so hard for you. Look at all the others who have it easy. All the fears that hold you back, all the just that shit within, that's there. And then what we do is like, well, maybe if I watch some TV and I watch some YouTube, maybe if I take some action, I can run away from this and run away from it for good. That's also why people want approval. Maybe if I could get just so much approval that my reservoir will be so big and a little bit of disapproval won't hurt anymore. No. The real work is you stop running away from it because it'll keep chasing you. You turn around and you dive right into it. You dive into that inner hell. It's scary. It'll challenge every part of you. It'll challenge and disrupt your comfort zone. You have to also be ready for it. You have to have like a solid standing where you're like, okay, here we go. And you dive right into hell. And then when in hell, you keep going. And eventually you'll come out the other side and you'll see like, shit, this is what I should have done all along. Now, some mistakes though is people do it wrong, or they start going into it and then it gets intense, they run back, or they start going into hell and they have no direction and they stay stuck in hell and it got a lot worse. So I'm not saying it's a safe and easy path, but it is the way. That's the true work. No longer running away from yourself. You can even audit, by the way, on a small scale, everything you say or do or think, is it running away from you or not? Sometimes even on the letting go, people do it wrong, right? They try to let go and they try to get rid of stuff, but that's running away from what they're feeling versus sinking into. So there are all these little subtleties.
Now, the next step that I want you to take after watching this video is to click on this video here, which will take you through my journey when it comes to letting go and healing from past trauma. And if you'd like to see some practical live coaching demonstrations around this, click on this video here. You know what to do. Until next time.